Hello and welcome back to the booth here at Card Kingdom's Legacy Preservation Series 1K Tournament. I'm your host, Josh Monks, joined in the booth with our backup caster, giving Jordan Isaka a little break, Chris Ferderer. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm 100% not Jordan Isaka.
That is correct.
Like...
You know, I couldn't tell, but I thought I might try harder. You guys both have glasses, it's hard to tell them apart.
Yeah. Wait, does that mean that you wake up in the morning and you're like, Jordan Isaka's in my house?
Yeah. Like, I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, geez. Gotta put a camera into Jordan's bathroom.
I'm doing fantastic. I haven't touched a Legacy card in a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
It hurts me a little bit, like deep down inside.
Well, I'm glad you're here now. We have a match set up. We're going to head down there right now. We have two other Seattle natives jamming it out on their decks of choice. We've got Allian, who I think has played Miracles since Miracles was a deck.
Yeah.
I don't actually know exactly what day he started playing it.
I don't think I've ever seen him play anything other than Miracles. It's always been Miracles.
I believe so.
And Zach, who has played like every deck under the sun.
Yeah, he
at
owns
one
just
point in
about
time.
every deck.
Yeah.
He owns the pieces for every single deck, so maybe not concurrently, but he's got a couple concurrent.
Yeah.
He's playing Jun today, which it's great versus Miracles.
Yeah.
Really good selection, actually. There's a lot of Storm here. There's a lot of Miracles.
Yeah, it's got a lot of like main board. I'm gonna blow up all of your anything that you can do to hurt me. I can blow it up.
Yes.
I can stop it.
I can interact with a lot of things. He also has a ton of Thoughtseize and Hymn to Torok effects, and Hymn to Torok is just so good versus the Brainstorm decks that are trying to, filter these bad cards out of their hand. So if you hymn them, and even if you hit two lands, it still hurts them a lot because that's two cards they can't put back in the future Brainstorm.
Yeah, and I feel like with Miracles having like a pretty decent hand size of just like ways to be able to stop your opponent is kind of helpful. At the end of the day, like the top of the library is kind of like the 8th, 9th, and 10th cards in your hand.
Can't Thoughtseize those.
But you can't, yeah. So I'm kind of curious to see. I feel like Zach has a pretty good matchup in this.
Absolutely. He's got Thoughtseize, he's got Dark Confidant, which is just a nightmare. He's got Deathrite Shaman.
You have Abrupt Decay, which is like
the
cool.
best. You've got Punishing Fire Grove of the Burn Willows.
Flip the top, please. What do you have on top? Is it a 2-drop? Well, it's Abrupt Decay.
It's still dead.
Yeah.
So Zach's going to start out with a Thoughtseize here. Excellent decision.
Yeah.
He knows what Allian's playing, and he wants to know exactly what Allian's playing this second. Sees that Sensei's Divining Top, gets to rip that out of Allian's hand, and Allian's hand just went from being 100% snap keep to a pretty awkward mulligan to 6.
Yeah. Like that Brainstorm, he's going to be using that as a crutch.
He doesn't have a fetch land.
Oh.
That Brainstorm hurts. He's got a Volcanic and a basic Plains. He doesn't even have the mana to play Counterbalance if he draws a Counterbalance.
Right, but he can use that Brainstorm to slam the Terminus back on top and then whiff it.
Yes, and then
Which is
Terminus,
great.
Terminus and then not kill any creatures. Yeah, Sensei's Divining Top, get that out. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Nobody that likes fun likes Sensei's Divining Top.
Yeah, and I think that Spell Snare was... It doesn't...
It's good to know about. It's good to know about.
It's good to know about, but I don't think it does...
Zach, if you jammed a Dark Confidant here, Spell Snare is great. But
true,
Zach knows there's no Spell Snares. Zach knows there's a Spell Snare, so he's not going to jam it.
Yeah.
He has a Tarmogoyf in hand. He's got a Liliana in hand. You know what? He could have played a Tarmogoyf there right into that Spell Snare. Elects not to.
Yeah.
Allian's going to draw and Entreat the Angels. Not really what you're looking for at this point in the game.
This Brainstorm that he's contemplating it looks like it hurts. Like he was looking at that Brainstorm and he was just like, I know this is bad value. This is really, really bad value. I'm not going to.
This is precisely what I don't want to use this card for, and I have to right now. I'm not happy.
No one likes throwing out a whiff Brainstorm. You're just like, cool, now I'm looking at the next 2 turns and I'm not changing them.
It's another Brainstorm. So he feels a lot more comfortable about jamming now. Mentor, a fetch land, and another fetch land of the draws. That's actually very good. Other Brainstorm is now engaged. He can get these crappy Miracle spells out of his hand into his deck where they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
He wants them to be on top of his library.
Yeah.
And then fetch them away. Great Brainstorm for him there. And Zach, he wanted to play Liliana of the Veil right there, but he didn't have another black mana. He had basic land, forest, and Grove of the Burning Willows, which is painful. It hurts a lot when you draw those basics and you don't want them in this Jun deck for this very reason. Zach's going to draw. Almost drew 2. Going to elect to draw exactly 1 card.
I hear that's good. I hear drawing 2 is really good every turn.
He draws a Thoughtseize. He's going to fire that. See what's going on Allian's side of the street. I think he's just going to take a Brainstorm here.
Yeah.
Maybe Allian should fetch and then play that Brainstorm?
He has another fetch to be able to utilize the Brainstorm, and...
Well, if you're Zach, you just take Brainstorm here and you're like, nice hand.
Yeah.
We're back at the same place we were earlier, only now you use the Brainstorm.
Yeah. I honestly believe that cracking the fetch, brainstorming, and then being able to have the backup with that fetch land, that you have another backup fetch land, it's a lot better than him taking a Brainstorm and, I don't know.
Yeah, you also get to use that Brainstorm to hide something like that Monastery Mentor, which could be huge. Zach does have an Abrupt Decay, which is a great answer for Monastery Mentor, as your opponent doesn't really want to get into a counterspell with an Abrupt Decay. They do get tokens out of it, but they also don't get a Mentor out of it, so...
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, he also has that Liliana. but
Yes, which is a very powerful
a very, very sad Liliana.
So now that Allion, he can fetch here to be able to play that Spell Snare, but then he wouldn't be able to use that fetch land to get rid of the Brainstorm cards. So now he attacks Allion at a pretty awkward angle, and Allion elects not to use the Spell Snare in his hand to counter a 2-mana spell. Oh, Allion set up a Terminus. That's why. That's why he elected not to use the Spell Snare. So he did not fetch. He just left the fetch in play. Said, you know what? I kind of like drawing a Terminus right here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Zach draws. It's a Dark Confidant. That can get Spell Snared, and Allion has a Spell Snare for it.
Yeah. I hear that card is really good against 2-drops.
Let's see what he elects to do. Zach can't jam it. He really wants to just draw a black source so he can play Liliana in his hand. Entreat the Angels was underneath. He's just gonna make. I'm gonna make some angels today.
I think having what is this, two
angels?
Yeah, he's getting 2/4-4s. So I feel like 2/4-4s can coast in for the win. Like,
yeah, you can definitely go somewhere from here.
Yeah.
And now Zach's on the back foot. He does have a little bit of tempo. He'll be able to replicate one of them.
Yeah.
But there's one more still left in the mix. If he draws a black source, he'll be able to jam Lily, down tick on the last angel.
Yeah, and especially with
there.
the fact that Zach already Thoughtseize twice, like he's already down to 16. That's really rough.
Yeah, absolutely. He draws a black source.
Oh.
So you gonna jam the Lily here? Do you think?
Yeah, drop Lily, get rid of the other angel.
The fact he's still in the tank is why I'm like, maybe he won't do that. Maybe he sees a different line. Okay, there's the Badlands, or as I like to call it, the Radlands. Tap that, black, and green.
And Lily. And
Allion knew it was coming. He's like, oh, you finally got that second black to play Liliana in your hand? Okay, I allow it. And now Allion draws a Force. Well, that's a turn too late.
Yes, that's a little rough. I mean, here I think he's going to go Mentor and then start
Play Brainstorm, probably.
Start the aggressive attack.
Zach does have an Abrupt Decay in his hand. He can just Abrupt Decay that Mentor. However, Allion will be able to cast that Brainstorm, generate one more token.
Yeah. Well, and Allion doesn't know about the Abrupt Decay, but it's kind of inevitable. I mean, I guess one of them is in the bin already, so maybe he's thinking positive. But
and what's actually really great for Zach here is if he uses the Abrupt Decay here and Allion fires off the Brainstorm, Zach will be able to play that Dark Confidant in his hand, knowing he won't get Spell Snared.
Yeah.
See what Allion elects to do. He's got some options. He's like, well, should I Brainstorm here, or should I play Swords? Oh, he doesn't have a Brainstorm. What am I saying? He's got a Swords to Plowshares, he's got a Spell Snare and a Force. So he can play Force, or he can play Spell Snare, or he can just let this happen.
Yeah, I think there's room to say that you could Spell Snare it just to get a dude, but I feel like that's just bad because he's gonna tick this up right here and then tick up Lily right here, and then next turn you don't have to worry about the token anymore. But I guess that feels like a bad Liliana also.
Yeah, Allion's really got to decide how he wants this game to go. One of the things I really like about playing Miracles is that you really elect how the game plays out. And so you need to be planning several turns in advance exactly how the game's going to play out. We saw that with that Brainstorm to put back Terminus into Entreat the Angels to answer Zach's board and then immediately follow up with making 2 angels, force Zach to deal with that, and then move to the next step of the game.
Yeah. Oh, so Swords.
He's going to Swords his own Mentor, gain 3 life here, and make a token.
Yeah.
Blank the Abrupt Decay. I kind of like that. However, Zach's going to jam Dark Confidant here.
Wait, did that Abrupt Decay just get countered? Oh my god. You're not supposed to be able to counter Abrupt Decay, though.
I mean, you're not supposed to counter it, but the judge sitting at the end of the table definitely should be able to counter any spell he so chooses. Except for Gilded Drake.
Oh.
Judges can't counter Gilded Drake.
Yeah. Gilded Drake is one of those weird things that's off in EDH land that I just don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you use it in the show and tell matchup. Yeah.
Real good for show and tell. Yeah, it can be countered by spells or abilities, but it cannot be countered by the game rules.
Yeah.
Normally exchanges require that restriction, but normally they require the restriction of having both be legal transfers when it resolves. However, Gilded Drake specifically says it's not.
Yeah.
We're going to see this 1/1 attack Lily. Zach elects not to block. He says, you know what, Dark Confidant's a whole lot better than Liliana here.
Because you can find another Lily. Like, it can dig into your deck, yeah.
If he draws a Lily here, it feels great.
I think Allion's in a good spot right here because Miracles really doesn't care about like the first 5 turns. It's really about the 6th through 80th turn or whatever typical Miracle decks play out.
However, Dark Confidant is a real good card against Miracles.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to slowly be generating 1 extra card for Zach until Allion finally 1-for-1s it.
Yeah.
Zach fires off a Hymn to Torok. That's going to get Spell Snared for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, Zach's okay with that because now he gets to jam his Totem Wave.
Yeah, the snare is still there.
You know what? I might have done that in the other order. I might have played Tarmogoyf, said, hey, Spell Snare this, and then jam Hymn to Torok. Know that resolves. Put Allion in Hellbent mode and say, knock the top of your deck, bud. I got a Dark Confidant in play. Here comes a Tarmogoyf. I
right.
feel like if Zach had done that in the other order, he'd be in slightly better shape.
Yeah, but that Goyf is real big. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's real big right now.
I don't think as a Jund player with a Dark Confidant, though, you need to worry about ending the game. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, you know what? I'll take 10 damage off this Dark Confidant over the next 4 turns. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's a fetch land that time, so he's going to hit another land drop. Albion also drew a land off the top. Not really what he's looking for. And we've got, looks like a Punishing Fire. Get rid of that token.
No more token.
Unless Alien has 2 spells he wants to cast, or hard cast a Force Will. Let's see.
Ooh.
Alien, what are you going to do? He's got a Terminus and a Force Will in hand. And you know, I think he just says, you know, that's fine. I'm going to hopefully draw a land here. Hard cast his Terminus.
Yeah, and so he's taking. I believe he's taking 6 off of the 7. I think 7.
Tarmogoyf's 5/6.
Yeah.
We got Planeswalker.
Oh.
I always, whenever I count Tarmogoyf, I start at Chillwind Yeti and go from there. Actually, you know what? I think it might be a 6/7. He's got a Sensei's Divine. Alien has a Sensei's Divining Top in his graveyard.
Well, they're taking it up right now.
Creature, instant land, sorcery, Planeswalker, and artifact. 6/7, right?
Sorcery, creature, land, artifact, Planeswalker. Yeah, it should be a 6/7.
Okay. Well, that is Zach's job to know the exact power and toughness of a Tarmogoyf.
Well, in this case, it's both players. It is both players' jobs to know what that power and toughness is.
Okay. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do about that. You're a judge. You probably know. I'm not a judge. I don't know.
I am going to wave down one of our judges and see if that's.
I think there's a creature, right?
There's also the chance that
Maybe there's not a
die
creature.
might. Does that die go up to 6/7, or are they
believe
just
so.
like?
I think there's creature in the graveyard.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, yep. Okay, so I'm glad they're aware.
because the one creature that was on the battlefield at one point in time got
It's
swords.
exiled. Yeah, it's right next to that brainstorm. Absolutely right. That's our bad. They know what's up. We don't know what's up. Flips over a Grim Lavamancer.
Ooh.
That's a workhorse. Not great here. Got a lot of other matchups it's good in. You just
Yeah.
keep bashing with this board state and slowly draw more and more cards, and Allion just gets buried in card advantage. Oh, we got a Terminus.
Yeah.
There's Terminus. Sure,
There is
go
a
ahead,
creature.
cast that. I'm surprised he did that then rather than... I guess he couldn't do it. Allion could not do that during his turn as he had already drawn a card for the turn.
Yeah.
Would not be able to hard cast that, or would not be able to soft cast that.
Yeah, and 7's a lot of damage, so that is a good time to do so.
And so Zach is going to deploy his threats again and say, do you have another Terminus, or was that just the one you have? And the answer is, I'm going to dig. I got a top, let me look.
Oh,
Finds
there is.
one.
Yeah, there is.
And he's got a counterbalance underneath it. Allion is working his way back.
Is that a
into this
counterbalance, or was that a Judge Force of Will?
one. Oh,
Because I know Allion is packing a Judge Force of Will,
okay, maybe it was.
which
I
is
wasn't quite
beautiful.
sure. Zach's going to do a little shortcut here. He says, I'm going to have you gain a life, and then I'm going to shock you. Same exact situation, only you'll have 1 less life.
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman could drain. What it looks like. So, it's like Zach's gonna draw. He hasn't seen what it was. I haven't seen what it is. Let's
No
see
one knows what it is. It's a mystery. Well, I guess Zach didn't just blindfold it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's a miracle spell. What if it's
Whoa!
what was the name of that one?
What's the
Thunderous Wrath is
Yeah,
what I'm
Thunderous
thinking
Wrath. T-Wrath.
Yeah.
Pay 1,
You know
take
what?
5.
I've been
Seems
hit,
good.
I've been hit by that before. I was like, dang, I didn't see that one coming.
When that card first came out, I gave it a try and burn with like a 2-of spot, but even though it was only 2 in the deck, every single opening hand
Yeah.
always had one. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, the cards you don't want in your opener always end up there. That's how I
Yeah.
feel. Whenever I play Miracles, I never have top of my opening hand. And so Allion's gonna pass the turn. Or Zach, let's see, went to his. Zach attempted to pass the turn, and Allion said, I have end step effects.
And he's activating a top, which I assume is going to be getting rid of those pesky 1/1 or 1-drops.
Terminus is on top of the library.
Yep.
Allion,
But that is 3 Terminuses of this
Yeah.
Game, isn't it?
You've seen a
yeah,
lot.
That's a lot. That's kind of rough.
Zach's gonna eat a spell. I imagine you eat a Swords of Plowshares or a Brainstorm, one of the two. And then activate Grim Lawmancer to shock, putting Allion down to 6, and saying, you know what, I still got Grove of the Burn Willows. I know you dealt with this guy, but I still got Grove.
Yeah.
Grove and Punishing Fire. Let's see where we can go from here. It's a race, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Allion's got to find a way to stabilize, and Zach has to find a way to kill Allion.
Yeah.
Well, Zach already has a way to kill Allion. We're going to go to Allion's turn. Oh, so you know what he did there? He activated top to look, and then in response flipped the top to draw. So now he gets to resolve that. He can put Counterbalance on top of his library, so he draws Counterbalance followed by top if he so chooses. I believe that was a Counterbalance. I'm pretty sure it was, but maybe
Okay.
I'm wrong. And if he activates top immediately, that seems a little strange to me, as I thought that he could have just put Counterbalance on top of his library and just drawn Counterbalance for the turn and been the exact same situation he'd be now. So he elects not to. Punishing Fire, buyback Punishing Fire, shock you again, deal you 1 damage.
Yep.
The slow clock.
That is a win con, yes, it can be.
Sometimes it's exactly what you need. And you know what? He just drew another Punishing Fire, and so Zach can get to a point where he can double Punishing Fire, activate Grove to give his opponent's life, trigger both of them, and then buy it back using another red source. So he gets both back. And he gets to deal 4 damage, while Alien gets to gain 1.
Yeah.
So
and you were correct, yeah, it was a counterbalance.
So I imagine Zach's going to respond to this. I'm going to Punishing Fire you. Alien's like, all right, I'll take 2. Down to 3. What do you got?
And bring it back, cast again.
Zach's going to buy both of them back.
Sure.
And then I imagine he's going to fetch and then cast one of these.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
While the coast is clear.
Yeah, while the shields are down, before this counterbalance resolves.
Nope.
Looks like Zach is not going to fetch, so he's just going to hold them in hand. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that was the last window you can use to resolve one of these guaranteed, and you only need to resolve 2 more.
Well, the thing is, if Zach is very lucky here, and there is no 2-drop on top, which is unlikely, this could be the game, because Alien is at
It'd be
that
the same
scary
situation,
spot.
right? It would just be that he has 1 Punishing Fire in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to see an end-step top activation. Alien is digging, finds a Spell Snare.
Oh, was that no 2-drops? I don't think that was a 2-drop in that.
Spell Snare does counter 2-mana spells, though.
That is true.
So, looks like we're going to go... When is this? Upkeep on Alien's turn. It says, if you want to double top to rearrange and put a 2 on top and then draw the card that you want to draw, it's going to cost you 2 mana here.
Yeah.
And I think Alien is going to try and fetch, find a 2-drop.
Yeah, that's...
I'm going to play that game.
That is a valiant effort.
And so if you're Zach here, I think you just Punishing Fire and then responds.
Yeah.
So you're going to fetch, I'm going to respond to your fetch.
Get fired.
And so now if Zach was in that situation where he had that turn where he could have responded to Counterbalance by playing another Punishing Fire, he would actually be able to win the game.
And I think that other card... I think Zach is packing a Goyf in the hand.
Okay.
Which, if you can land it, sure, why not?
It's a sorcery, though. I'd much rather play Instants that cost 2 mana rather than sorceries that cost 2 mana right now. Let's see what Alien likes to do. So we have a fetch land on the stack in between the 2 Punishing Fires is what the stack looks like right now. Alien knows he got a Spell Snare on top of his library.
Yep.
He could flip his top, draw that Spell Snare one of them, but I think that's a losing proposition.
That's a rough thing because you have a fetch on the stack, and so you're just like,
oh, you know what?
goodbye,
He's actually dead if he just takes that, because Zach will be able to buy back the Punishing Fire, still with the fetch land on the stack. He's got 3 mana. He'll be able to buy it back, fetch,
and then kill him.
And then kill him. But he elects not to. Interesting. Because Alien would gain a life, go to 2, and then get Punishing Fired back down to 0. Zach has exactly enough mana, unless he doesn't have another red source in his deck. He's got a fetch land in play, though. I gotta imagine he's got at least 1 more Badlands or a Taiga in his deck.
You would assume.
I don't think the deck...
Let's take a look.
We got the deck just right in front of us. What's his mana base look like? I see... Wow.
There's no Taiga.
Well, that changes everything.
So the 2 Badlands...
And you know what? Alien finds a Counterbalance, and it looks like Zach probably just lost the game due to not having another red source in his deck.
That's brutal.
That's a pretty high cost. That's very painful. Alien likes to draw the Counterbalance. Is that what just happened?
But he's down to 2.
He's up to 2. He was at 1.
Oh, yeah.
Grove of the Burnwell has gained life. Drop the turn. I didn't see what that was. Was that a Maelstrom Pulse? Or was it a land? I think Zach's just going to have to pass the turn here.
It was a Pulse.
Pulse is great here, actually.
Which it...
2 mana. Oh, was it an Abrupt Decay?
No,
he's just going to jam it.
He's going to jam the Goyf.
Okay. Alien has another 2 mana spell on top of his library. It's a Snapcaster.
Testing the waters for Punishing Fire.
Absolutely. So I like what Alien did there. Alien drew the 2 mana spell, saying, I bet you think you're going to be able to force through a 2 mana spell here. I still have a 2 on top of my library.
Yeah.
He's going to draw. Was that a Ponder?
I think it was a Ponder. It was a foil Lorwyn Ponder.
Gotcha.
There it is.
I do like that art.
It's an interesting art. It's definitely interesting.
We're going to look. He finds a Force of Will, that Snapcaster Mage, and it looked like a Karakas. And you know what? He's got to leave that Snap on top of his library. So Ponder basically just draws him a card at this point, rearranges his library, which Sensei's Divining Top does for 1 mana also.
Yeah, and that's like that top and that Snapcaster are going to be good friends for the next couple of turns to keep Allion alive.
Absolutely. Allion knows he's dead to an Abrupt Decay or potentially a Maelstrom Pulse. He does have Double Force, so he'll be able to Double Force. Liliana's the draw.
The Double Force is a little awkward, though.
Absolutely.
Because, unless he can hardcast it.
I assume that's what he's going to do. He's got enough mana here to be able to.
Or, well, one of them, yes. But then that turns off your fetches, and you have to kind of hope for that Punishing Fire.
Not if you hardcast it, right?
Yeah, well, so if he hardcasts one of them, there's a second one, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, he can hardcast one and then softcast another one, and that locks off fetches.
Yeah, the softcast one, it locks off being able to fetch, which is kind of awkward.
Absolutely. So Liliana goes to the graveyard off a hardcasted Force of Will. Allion still has a 2-mana spell on top of his library. He's going to top on his upkeep, make sure that he does not draw that 2-mana spell again.
Top card's a Karakas?
That's what it looks like, yeah. Play that Karakas for the turn. And send the turn back. And so now he's got Force of Will plus blue card in his hand. He also has a counterbalance. So if he draws a Brainstorm, he can potentially fetch and then Brainstorm to put that counterbalance on top of his library.
Yes, but the blue card that's in his hand, worst case scenario, is the Spell Snare, so you don't have to worry about Punishing Fire it out. So.
Absolutely. So X going to go ahead and fetch now. I'm surprised he didn't fetch a while ago. At this point in the game, especially if you don't have any more red sources, I would probably try and not draw as many lands as possible.
Yeah.
And there's no Brainstorm effects or anything like that, so that land isn't actually doing anything if you fetch later rather than now. It actually has to pass the turn. And Allion is slowly going to take over this game with this countertop combo.
Yep. There's another top. I believe that was another top.
He's going to play a second counterbalance now. He's going on a lot of triggers is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Draw, it's a fetch land. Does he have a mountain in his deck?
Nope.
He doesn't. Wow.
No basic mountains.
He's just got a swamp and a forest for his basic lands and a 1 wasteland, which he drew. And Allion's hand is looking pretty gross now. It's getting very good.
I feel like this is one of the scary things about Miracles, and it's one of the most discouraging things when you're playing against Miracles, because you're like, I got this, and you get them down, and they just stabilize back at 2, and you're like, oh man, there goes my... I tried so hard.
I'm surprised it took so long to deploy the second counterbalance for Allion, because with 1 counterbalance in play, he's actually dead to an Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
But now with 2, there needs to be 2 Abrupt Decays, which is a lot more than 1. To rearrange his deck. I imagine you draw a Swords of Plowshares or the top here. I kind of like having multiple tops in play at this point in the game. Just it lets you set up miracle spells and still have countertop in play.
Well, one of the sweetest things is if push comes to shove and the going gets tough, you can Snapcaster to bring back something, but you can also Swords the Snapcaster to get yourself out of Punishing Fire range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can cast Snapcaster, flashback a Swords of Plowshares in your graveyard, flashback the Swords on the Snapcaster that just casted it, and then gain 2 life that way.
Yep.
Play the old Ambush Viper for 3 life.
That Force of Will was not a Ponder.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta assume, Zach has to assume that Allion has another Force of Will at this point in the game.
Yeah, of course. And there's yet another Swords of Plowshares.
See what he likes to do with this Ponder. You can't really shuffle because you need a 2-drop. And now that Zach drew a Lightning Bolt, you also need a 1-drop. He's got both of those on top of his library, so he can just float those for as long as he wants to.
Yeah.
He's going to deploy the second top and pass the turn.
So yeah, it looks like Zach is waiting for Bloodbraid Elf would be nice.
Bloodbraid Elf is the dream in this matchup always.
And a Pulse would be pretty sweet.
Would be a good one. He really wants Sudden Shock, I feel, is the card he's really looking for.
No Sudden Shocks in main.
That's too bad.
So.
No Sudden Shocks anywhere because nobody plays Sudden Shock in this format. But, I can dream.
Yeah.
I like that card. I like cards that do things that other cards don't get to do. I like weird cards. That's really what it comes down to. Unique cards.
That's what I'm gonna describe it as. I like unique cards. That's why I play Enchantress sometimes.
Yeah. Enchantress Specialist over here. Forgot about that.
That deck is sweet.
Enchantress and Dredge Specialist. That's who we got in the booth.
Oh, man. There was somebody that was telling me online about how Dragon Lord Culligan is like the new hotness in Dredge, and I was like, I'm going to say no on that. I'm just going to pass.
I don't know what that one does. Does it give other dragons attacking?
All your creatures have haste, and whenever your opponent casts a spell that is already in the graveyard, it deals 5 to them, I believe.
Yeah, it goes 5
or
upstairs.
10. I think it's
Okay.
10.
Maybe it's 10. Okay.
But either way, it's like a Flamekin Zealot, but it flies, and also makes it so brainstorms start getting really awkward when you try to cast multiples of them.
Okay, I could see that. I don't know if it's better than FKZ, the old Flamekin Zealot, but maybe. Because this game is just locked in Drago at this point.
Yeah.
Not really going anywhere. Countertop block is engaged.
It's Zach hoping for his outs and Allion stabilizing.
Yeah, how many Bloodbraid Elves does Zach have? Is it
2.
all 4? Just 2?
Just 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. That's that's pretty much the only card he's looking for. That or 2 Abrupt Decays.
Yeah. Which he's
It's a lot of
cast.
answers.
He's cast 2 Abrupt Gaze so far yet, and then I don't think he's cast a 3rd, but
So Alion's actually in pretty awkward shape here with this Grim Lavamancer. He doesn't have a 1-drop in play right now, but he does have a Snapcaster Mage. He'll be able to Snapcaster a Brainstorm potentially, put a 1-drop from his hand on top of his deck without having to use one of those 6 Wonder Tops.
yeah, or Snapcaster the Swords that was in there. I think Zach might have taken the Swords out.
Yeah, I believe he did with the Deathrite Shaman earlier.
Yeah.
So Alion's going to flashback a Brainstorm. And you put back a 2 and a 1. You're back in the same place.
Well, he does have double swords in hand, in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have an answer. I'm surprised he didn't just let it resolve. I'm sorry, then. So now Zach's going to play a 2-drop, and he's just trying to tax Alion's mana base.
Yeah.
Alion's going to go ahead and top. He's going to put a 2 back on top of his library, reveal that 2, counter Dark Confidant.
So he's got 1, he's got 2, and I feel like that's good enough for the rest of this game.
Yeah. I mean, Zach's trying to force Allion to weave here, but Allion just has so many lands that he'll be able to weave until ever.
Yeah. Ooh, that bolt though.
However, Allion has 2 swords. He can go to 4 very easily. And Allion also now has a clock. Zach's going to go ahead and scoop to the clock. And we're going to go to game 2. Allion is up a game.
Yeah, this is one of the awkward things about Miracles is that it'll stabilize, and when it does, it's over. So now let's see, what do we got sideboard wise?
Give me some of these sweet sideboard tech. I see a Gaddock Teeg. I love the white splash. I've been seeing Rob Hunsaker was kind of the original guy who decided to put white into the sideboard of this Jund deck.
We've got Gaddock Teeg, we've got Golgari Charm, we've got a Null Rod, we've got Rex Sage.
There's Surgical Red
that
Elemental
Choke
Blast.
is real good.
Choke, yeah.
sitting at the 3 depth. Let's see what we got for Allion. Him and his cursive.
Yeah, I
Let's
cannot
see.
read this. I'm not even going to try.
We got Rest in Peace, which is fine.
Pretty good.
Verdict.
Engineering Explosives, Counterspell. I can't read these cards. Cannot read them. Unreadable.
Council Verdict. Or Council's Judgment.
Council's Judgment? Yeah, I guess you bring that in here to deal with Liliana, but it's pretty meh overall in my opinion.
I mean, I feel like Zach's board is a little bit more. There's a lot more to it for this matchup than Allion's.
I also feel like Jund is slightly favored pre and post board in this matchup anyways.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you get him down to 2, that seems like it's positive for you.
So these guys are shuffling up for game 2. These guys are both 2-0.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the turnout for this 1K? You feel like Legacy's a dead format?
Yeah, I mean, totally, 100%. It's as dead as Vintage is alive.
I think we've decided it's zombie format now.
Zombie format? Undead.
Yeah, the undead format. I wonder if we can convince Card Kingdom to do like zombie posters for like the next 1K.
We're bringing it back, boys. We're necroing the thread. I wish necro was legal in Legacy, because then you can make a lot of jokes that way.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. Like, currently there's a GP going on in Oakland that is standard, which is like the popular format of Wizards' Choice, that has less players than GP Seattle, which was Legacy. So, I mean, I don't know if
West Coast GP.
I feel like it needs to be a Pro Tour format again. Like, bring back Legacy as a Pro Tour format. It'd be awesome.
I'd like to see more Legacy GPs, and then maybe after that step we can go to PTs.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to aim for the right people, because like the Pro Tour is a little bit different than Grand Prix, because Grand Prix anyone can go to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like kind of a vacation thing. You're expected to go there maybe if you're not really expecting to win. But Pro Tours you got to qualify for, you got to make those things, you got to grind, and then you get to play in them.
Yeah, getting more than 2 Legacy Grand Prix every year in the US would be really nice.
Yes, I would appreciate it.
I think there are lots of people that would appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's so fun to watch. Like, the interactions that you get out of Legacy versus any other format, they're so in depth it's mesmerizing to watch in some cases.
It's very apparent when one player is better than the other person in Legacy, and I feel like a lot of formats, the decks are a little bit more clear as to what they do, and so if you know how to play your deck, you can do very, very well with it. Legacy, you have to know your deck very, very well, and then also all the ins and outs of all of the other decks you're playing against.
I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing Legacy for a while, is because I didn't do that. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to pick a deck and play with it. It was, I'm going to play 12 different decks and be alright at them.
Yeah.
But I guess that goes to, like, how I learn is I learn by having it in my hand, and I'm more comfortable beating a deck if I've played the deck.
I also feel like you tended to stick to a lot of the more unfair decks. A lot of the decks aren't really attacking on a normal axes, and so you get a very strange view of the format from that, if you understand what I mean. Because like Legacy, when you're playing decks like Enchantress and Dredge, it's all about the sideboard cards. And if your opponent hits the right sideboard cards, they win, and if they don't, you lose. And so you kind of get used to playing around these sideboard cards, but not necessarily around the main decks, because game one is just, oh, you don't have any cards to deal with me? Cool, I guess I win.
Yeah.
Zach's going to go ahead and start out with a Deathrite Shaman. Great turn one play. And for those of you curious in chat, Chris Furter is giving Jordan a quick break. We always like to have a sub for these longer events so that we can take a 1 week break, eat some food, rest our vocal cords, maybe take a nap if you're sleepy.
I don't know what that's like.
Napping?
No. There have been several times where I've judged 12-hour days and I'm like, this is fine.
Oh man, what a nightmare. Allion, however, showing Zach a nightmare, and he's going to go ahead and have a Swords to Plowshares for that Deathrite Shaman.
Yep.
Sorcery speed. We're going to go to Zach's turn 2. Zach has a Sylvan Library that he just drew. Now, this card is a good one.
Sylvan Library is great.
If Allion doesn't have a counterspell and this resolves, Allion's in very bad shape. Sylvan Library is one of these cards that generates so much advantage over several turns.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the things, like, with Sylvan Library, it's that late game card, and Allion's playing Miracles, which is that late game deck. So it's just, yeah.
And also, Miracles doesn't really pressure the life total of their opponents very, very well. And so you can turn this Sylvan Library into not only a lot of filtering, but you can also turn it into an Ancestral Recall into a lot of filtering.
Oh, of course, yeah. And typically with Miracles, it's all or nothing when it comes to your opponent's life, and so taking 4 here and there isn't that bad. It's not that rough.
Absolutely. When you're attacking with 5 Angels and you kill your opponent in one shot, it doesn't really matter what their life total is.
Yeah.
And Zach finds another Sylvan Library, and you know what? He used a fetch land there to play that Sylvan Library when he could have just played a Grove of the Brimwillows. And he now used that fetch land, which means he has to play Grove this turn, and he will not be able to effectively turn that Sylvan Library into a Brainstorm. And that you look at the top 3, choose one, shuffle the other ones away, which is kind of how you want to play that card. You want to weave through the bad cards in your deck and find the good cards.
Yeah.
Allion's going to cast a Brainstorm here. I like how the first card that he drew off the Brainstorm, he checked to make sure it wasn't Terminus, and then drew the other 2. I like when people are aware of those miracle things.
Yeah, you gotta be optimistic in case there is a blind flip into a Terminus, because then you're like, oh well, this is value, might as well.
I was hoping to set this up, but if it just happens here, I guess I'll just do that. It's not like I'm doing anything else with this mana.
Exactly, yeah.
People always get a little salty when Miracles just hits the blind flip, and it's like, the cards are good. You play them because they're good, and they do this. They wouldn't be in the deck otherwise.
Yeah.
And sure, it's lucky, but then the entire rest of the deck is trying to set that up, and so you can't be salty about the every once in a while when it happens.
Yeah, and it's like the people that are playing like the various Delver decks, and somebody blind flips a Delver. It's like, yeah, of course that's gonna happen. Like, just
you only have 23 spells in your deck. What are the chances?
luck suck. Yeah.
Allion's going to play a fetch land, and I think he's just going to have to pass the turn. He really doesn't have an answer for this board. He needs a Terminus and a Council's Judgment just to deal with Zach's creature base, his mana base.
Yeah.
Or not, his non-mana base, the rest of the board. Allion does have a Jace in play, but Jace doesn't really deal with Tarmogoyf very well.
Yeah. It temporarily deals with it, I guess.
You can downtick every turn, but Zach also has a Deathrite Shaman at that point. You can slowly start blocking that way.
Yeah.
Allion's hand is really, it doesn't have the pieces needed to deal with Zach's board.
So Zach does have an explosive, turn 3, his board is ready to go.
This was a great curve.
Yeah.
Deathrite on turn 1, get that Swords, land Sylvan Library on turn 2, land Tarmogoyf, Deathrite Shaman on turn 3. Looks like there's going to be a Snapcaster Swords to Plowshares to eat up that Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah. But a 2/3 Goyf is still
pretty good.
It's still nothing to shake a what you know at it.
Absolutely. And so Zach still has this Sylvan Library that he's seeing on top, which you don't really want at this point in the game.
Getting a little bit of a host going on for you guys.
Oh yeah, you can just host the channel through Twitch. You don't have to actually broadcast it. You can...
Yeah, but if you broadcast, then it lets all your followers know that you're going live.
Yeah, you can do that. But if you just start hosting it, it'll also give a notification to all your viewers as well.
Fair.
Very interesting as to how you're doing this. You're currently remote desktopping into your computer on your phone.
It's the future, man.
Yeah. So Zach finds a Hymn to Torok. He's going to fire this off. Great window to do this. Alion doesn't really have any mana up. Can't cast any potential spell snares. Could use Force of Will, but when you Force of Will a Hymn to Torok, you're really countering Hymn to Torok. I mean, or you're just making Hymn to Torok deal an extra damage.
You're kind of dealing with it. I mean, you're setting it into your court, your side of the court.
You get to choose what cards get discarded, as long as they're a Force of Will and another blue card.
Yeah.
Which that's what Hymn to Torok's trying to hit. So
he lost what?
It's
Mentor
like Volcanic
and Hulk?
Yeah, Volcanic Island and Mentor. Hitting the Jace there would have been huge. I still don't think Jace is great on this board.
Yeah, I mean Jace is rough. I mean you can bounce the Goyf, but I feel like it's
a slow proposition.
It's a losing battle. Yeah.
Alion will have that Snapcaster in play to potentially block in future turns, but again, I don't really think that's how you want to attack this matchup.
Yeah.
Alion's really in the tank about which land to play here, and I really don't know what the answer is. I guess you play the basics, so you can play this Jace, potentially Brainstorm.
Yeah.
And then fetch next turn. I'm not sure. So if you crack now, you won't be able to use that Brainstorm as a cycle, well, as a reset.
So there's the Jace. We're bringing that out.
I imagine you're going to Jace and down tick here, and then next turn you can Brainstorm. Looks like that's what he's due. I see him hovering the die on 2, but he hasn't locked it in quite yet. It's still in the tank. 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, the options are bounce Goyf, have a Jace, or tick up and get a 4 mana cost Brainstorm. I mean, if you block with you're obviously going to block with Snapcaster, but...
the thing is this line, if you do Brainstorm here and attempt to block with Snapcaster, and Zach has a Punishing Fire or a Shock or a Lightning Bolt, you're in really bad shape.
Yeah.
So Sylvan Library trigger, going to take an extra 4 damage that turn. He's deciding, you know what, it's time to get some card advantage. I'm a little bit down on board. I need to get some life total. See what he elects to do with his 4 mana. I believe he's got a land in hand too, so he can play 5. Yeah. May as well deploy. Oh, he's going to play Dark Confidant. And now I believe he's going to play a Goyf. Oh, he's going to play Gaddock Teeg. He's like, you know what, I know you got Terminus in your deck.
Gaddock Teeg last turn would have been good before the Jace landed.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, it's still a solid card.
Mm-hmm. Very powerful.
With Alion packing Karakas, it gets a little bit more awkward. But,
a little bit. Even still, that means he's got to find Karakas before he plays a Terminus. And then Terminus also doesn't kill the Gaddock Teeg, so...
Yeah.
That's where it gets awkward. You can't ever kill Gaddock Teeg with a Terminus. It's very hard to deal with Gaddock Teeg with sweepers.
Yeah.
Alion's going to fire off a Ponder here. That costs 1 mana. Gaddock Teeg will not stop you from casting that one.
Swords is pretty good.
Yeah, Swords is a great card. He finds a Ponder, a Swords of Plowshares, and a Mentor. What I'm a little bit surprised by is that he didn't start out by Brainstorming with Jace. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
As if he hits a Terminus here, he wouldn't really be able to do anything with it. I think you just draw the Swords of Plowshares and Swords the Bob. And say, you know what, you can have a Gaddock Teeg, but I'm going to have a Snapcaster Mage. And we can trade if you want to. If you want to try and attack my my Jace, you can, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, because I feel like Bob and Library is a really they're a tag team made in heaven.
Absolutely. Alion's going to go ahead and Brainstorm with Jace now. Mine is 0. Got to put 2 cards back. Looks like with the Jace in play, Brainstorm just gets a little bit less appealing. You already got that effect every turn. You don't really need it as much.
Ship it back, yeah.
Or it looked like a land as well. He's going to play a fetch land and pass the turn, and he's just going to fetch now. See what he likes to get. I think you Swords the Dark Confidant right now, and then you pass the turn. That's how I feel you play this line, or this turn.
That is a solid line. It keeps Zach from getting more established than he already is, which is, as last game shows, if Zach gets enough on the battlefield within those first key turns, you can get him down really into a very, very scary place.
Absolutely. Fetchland resolves, gets a Volcanic, and is he just going to jam a Mentor here? I believe he is. Oh, I like this a lot. And then you get to Swords, make a token.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you have a Terminus? Because you can't cast it, you got a Gaddock Teeg in play. He's going to Swords the Gaddock Teeg instead of the Dark Confidant. I don't know if I like that. I don't think you care about any of your 5-mana spells when you're up on board.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think getting rid of the Gaddock Teeg, it gets you back some cards, and it looks like Allian brought in Engineered Explosives, so I mean, it gets you that back. But really, I feel like E on 2. Yeah, sure.
E on 2 is pretty good for Allian if he gets there. It'll blow up the Sylvan Library and the Dark Confidant.
But the thing, yeah, I think Swordsing the Gaddock Teeg without the E in hand, it seems, I don't know, it does seem kind of weird. I think you're just hoping for the day that someday you'll get that E.
Because Dark Confidant Sylvan Library is a card advantage engine that makes it not take any damage.
Oh, hello. There's a replacement.
Backup Gaddock Teeg. That's bad for Allian.
Yeah.
So now the Sylvan Library trigger resolves, and Sylvan Library lets you put any cards back.
And there is a Null Rod.
Which I don't know if you really want right here. There's not really any artifacts going on.
Yeah.
There might be like an Engineered Explosive down the line, but I think you just care about playing that Gaddock Teeg more.
Well, either that or he can grab that. There was a Pulse also that can take care of the Jace, or take care of the Mentor.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably going to get rid of that Jace.
Yeah.
Maybe not, though. Maybe you're supposed to get rid of the Mentor. I don't know. That's tough. It's tough. The cool thing about having Dark Confidant and Sylvan Library in play is that Sylvan Library, you get to look at the top 3 cards. Well, you draw the top 3 cards, and you can rearrange the top 2, and then keep one of them.
Yep.
So you can just keep on putting lands back on top, hitting the land with your Dark Confidant, not take any damage, and just keep getting deeper and deeper into your deck. Abrupt Decay is going to take care of the Mentor, and I think Maelstrom Pulse is now going to take care of the Jace.
Yeah.
Let's see, there's 3 mana.
Yep.
You get to
there goes the Jace.
gain a life. Gains a life off that, Duel the Grove of the Burnwillows, tap it for green. Not very relevant.
The good old ebb and flow of Legacy games.
And that is a Pyroclasm for Allian, which, he could cast here, but it wouldn't really be very good.
Yeah.
Allian's going to cast upon a Trigger Prowess on his Monk. It's a 2/2 now. Look at the top 3 cards. He has a Counterspell, a Ponder, and a Fetch land. I want Counterspell here, honestly. If my opponent is a little bit down the board, I want that. I really want an answer for that Dark Confidant, though, and I'm very unhappy that it didn't die last turn.
Yeah.
As Zach is going to slowly grind out more and more value every single turn that Dark Confidant stays in play. And now that he's getting through 2 of the 3 cards every turn on Sylvan Library, so he gets to basically utilize that so much more effectively than you would otherwise.
Of course, yeah.
Draw off that, it's the
Takes the
Counterspell.
Counterspell, yep.
We're going to attack, so that Monk is a 2/2. Zach just takes this, why would you block? That's a Dark Confidant.
Yep.
That card doesn't block very often. Well, I guess Zach is at 8. He's taking a lot of cards off that Sylvan Library.
I would definitely be able to visit a lot.
Looks like it's going to line up. You can't trade with the Monk token. Because if you block the Monk and Allian plays a spell here, Monk just grows to a 3/3. It's the Dark Confidant alive. Zach just needs a removal spell here, and he's basically in the driver's seat again.
Oh. And that was an Abrupt Decay.
Yes, it was. He's going to take the Abrupt Decay. We'll go ahead and Abrupt Decay that Monk token and pass the turn, it looks like. He's going to play Gaddock Teeg here. That's going to get Counterspelled, I believe.
Oh,
I guess Allian's going to let it resolve. Allian says, you know what? I know I have a cantrip on top of my library.
Well, he also has the Pyroclasm in hand. So,
Yeah.
worst
But
case scenario.
he wants to keep that Monk alive. So what he's going to do is he's going to draw the cantrip, cast the cantrip, and then cast the Pyroclasm.
Yeah.
Turn his Monk into a 3/3, get in for 3 damage as well. Now Allian really sculpting this play. I really like this a lot. Finds 2 Sensei's Divining Tops.
And a fetch.
He might just be able to overpower Zach's life total here. He can do the top flip shenanigans. I think he's just going to play Pyroclasm here. Attack for 4. And put Zach down to 2. Play Sensei's Divining Top. Trigger Prowess. He's going to flip top. Put top on top. Play top. I think you just attack. You attack when it's a 3/3.
Yeah.
You say, you can block if you want to, but... This actually, I like this line a lot because Zach says, you know what, yeah, that's fine, I'll take all that, that's fine. Doesn't matter to me. And then...
That was a 4/4, yeah?
Yes, 4/4.
Yeah.
Goes down to 2, and now the Pyroclasm in his hand is going to be able to deal with any blocker. Does he hit a removal spell? I believe that's a Slaughter Games.
I think that was actually the Blood Raid Elf.
Oh, was it? Oh. Even better.
I think it was Land, Blood Raid Elf, and Null Rod.
Okay. So... Looks like he's got 5 mana in play. What's cool about Blood Raid Elf is you can set up your library with Sylvan Library, cast Blood Raid. Oh, he hits the Null Rod. Null Rod's going to stop the top shenanigans from occurring. Allian's now going to dead draw Sensei's Divining Top. That Pyroclasm will kill the Gaddock Teeg, and it will kill the Monk token.
Yeah.
Oh, and Allian was about to go end step top. Oh wait, I can't. I needed a top in response to the Null Rod. Now I have to draw this dead Sensei's Divining Top again. Oh, you know what? Allian still has the win. Plays Sensei's Divining Top, plays Pyroclasm. Oh, we got an abrupt decay.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty good. I would let the tap resolve. Wait for him to attack. And then see what happens. Allion is now left in a pretty awkward situation. Sylvan is going to happen again. Liliana of the Veil and Bloodbraid Elf, and he cycles past the land. Huge for Zach. Zach just immediately took the reins.
That's going to hit a Lily. Get a free Lily.
Cycle past this land.
Put that land.
Put this Lily into play. Uptick, make you discard your card. I'm already hellbent. Taste the rainbow. Attack you for 5. Zach swings this game back in his favor with that setup. What a huge play. Man, there's a reason Bloodbraid's banned in Modern. I felt like it was Deathrite Shaman, but I mean, Bloodbraid into Lily is still very good.
Yeah.
Allion draws the fetch land that he knew was on top of his library, and I think he's just about to die.
Yeah, and not being able to flip top or to do any of your top shenanigans is kind of rough right here for Allion. Like, it's just a matter of, like, let him kill me, and then... Oh, and there's a deed.
Deed's the draw. Uptick Lily. And so Zach does have a Jite near the top of his library, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Allion sees the writing on the wall, goes ahead and scoops 2 lethal combat damage on the next combat step. And they're going
into game 3.
Close game. So we have just a couple minutes left in the round. I bet this one's going to go to time. Allion is a little bit notorious for going to time with miracles. I don't really think he plays a little slow. I don't really want to call it slow playing, but he's very methodical about it. He's very practiced.
He plays very, very correctly. It just happens to be that by doing that, he thinks of every single out and every single possibility of all of the cards that are in his hand, which can cause the time in the round to go down a little
He's
quick.
in the tank a lot.
Yeah.
But he is utilizing that time to make intelligent decisions.
Yeah.
Making intelligent decisions, making the right decisions.
Well, and Miracles is one of those decks where that is a very, very important thing. And I know, like, Allion has definitely sped up his game quite a bit since he first started playing Miracles. I remember when he first started playing Miracles, where there's a lot of intricacies to the deck that
you miss.
You miss it, and so that caused him to slow down to make sure that he didn't miss them, which in the end caused like a 45-minute round kind of thing.
Absolutely. I do know that he has gone 0-4 in a weekly before, which I think is kind of funny. I very rarely ever have draws when I play this format. Even when I'm playing Miracles, I very rarely draw.
As somebody who has score kept like literally over 1,000 tournaments before, I have experienced one 0-4 in my entire life. And that was because of a Miracle player who just had no idea how he was playing the deck. It was literally one of those things where like a friend of his was like, "Hey, I want to borrow this deck." He's like, "Well, that's the deck I've been playing." He's like, "All right, well, here, I'll lend you Miracles." He's like, "I've never played this, but all right, sure, let's do this." And then 4th round, he comes up to me. He's like, "Here, I got my match slip," and I looked at it and I was like, "You killed me on the inside. I'm
Just
dead."
A little bit dead. So Zach started out with a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman. Allion answered back with a turn 2 Sensei's Divining Top and Mana Up. And Zach's going to go turn 2 Thoughtseize you. And Zach, I just saw the little hand waving. He's like, "Dude, we got 2 minutes left in the clock. I mean, sure, you can brainstorm, but do that or don't. Decide now."
Yeah.
Thoughtseize is going to happen. I think you just take the brainstorm here. I could also see potentially taking the Snapcaster Mage, but that feels a little too slow. I think you just take brainstorm.
Yeah. I mean, make him pay 3 for his brainstorm, so why not?
Looks like we got another Thoughtseize.
There's another Thoughtseize.
Take the Snapcaster this time, since I don't really want you cycling into your deck. And we got the Deathrite Beats. Battle you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't realize that Deathrite, although he is the greatest one-drop Planeswalker, can actually battle.
Yeah. Unlike other Planeswalkers, he has 4 abilities.
His 4th ability is don't tap, battle for 1.
Yeah. Just like Gideon can -0 to turn into a creature, Deathrite Shaman can turn into a 1/2.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is when you block with Deathrite and then activate an ability. So Allion's going to flip. He's going to find a Mentor. Does not have Force of Will, though, so if Zach has a removal spell, he's got a Liliana in play. He'll be able to eat that Mentor and then go to combat. However, he does not have another land, and there's no fetch land in the graveyard for that Deathrite to be able to play Lily.
Yep.
So now Mentor gets to get a little bit silly.
Yeah, and here's where it's going to get a little rough.
Let's see what happens. Allion still has 2 mana left over. He could either top or cast some spells. So Tarmogoyf is creature, instant, sorcery.
Yep.
So there's a 3/4, which means Pyroclasm will not kill it. So Allion's just going to go ahead and top, see what's on top of his library. It looks like land, swords to plowshares. That's a huge one.
The swords is nice. The lands,
And Allion's kind of in an awkward place by tapping the Tundra rather than the Volcanic for that. Allion's going to draw swords. Whoa.
Hey, whoa. Hold on.
Whoa.
That cannot start that. We're getting something over there for that. Volcanic, although it is a sweet card, does not tap for white. Okay, there we go. We got
It looked like-
the Goif's back. The Volk is untapped.
Yeah. It looked like he noticed that too, that he had used the Tundra on accident and says, well, let's just do it anyways. Not really sure.
Maybe Allian has the what's that one sweet land that if it's in your graveyard and you control something.
Riftstone Portal.
There you go. Yeah.
So we got another Thoughtseize from Zach. That's going to take a look across the street, see the swords,
Yeah.
get rid of the swords. Now Leon's probably kicking himself for trying to do that play.
Yeah.
So I think this game is just going to go ahead and go to turns. I'm not 100% sure though.
Yeah.
Allian might be able to close out the game, but it's going to be close.
I mean, it's going to be tough because first you have to get through the blockers, then you have to get through the 14 life. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do that in the upwards of 3 turns that he has.
Yeah, Miracles is not a deck known for closing the game out quickly.
Yeah. I mean, you cast Pyroclasm, sure, but
It doesn't kill the
Officially
turn.
the last match in the red.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the last match. Which means when this finishes, we'll be ready with round 2. And what I believe is that if you're okay taking another round in the booth, I will take a step out. You will cast with Jordan Isaka for 1 round, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
me and Jordan will run it back on the home stretch. Or
then-
if you need a break from taking breaks from people, I'm more than capable of doing another round in the booth.
well, I'm excited for casting with Jordan. Jordan and I have a very, very interesting chemistry.
Yeah, Jordan's very explosive.
Yeah, and the great thing is if, while you're on your lunch, if you're watching this on Twitch, then you won't know who is who. Like, because you were like, oh yeah, it's Jordan and Jordan. Wait,
I mean,
where's Jordan?
I don't even know who's on the booth right now. I thought it was Jordan and Jordan. I'm really glad our names are on the screen.
Yeah.
I just get lost sometimes. Looks like Mentor's coming in, asking how big the Mentor is. I'm going to go ahead and trade with the Tarmogoyf, as it's I believe it's a 4/4, but it does have 2 damage marked on it from the Pyroclasm.
Yep.
Take
And the
a
monk
couple points
token
of
gets
damage
in.
from the Monk token. And Zach's going to draw. Finds a choke. But, he does not have a 3rd mana source.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
mean-
really what he needs here.
As an Enchantress player, Choke is a really, really wonderful card. I've played it on several occasions, and you get so many people that like reach across the board, grab it, and they're like, "Wait, what does this do?" And they're like, "Oh, that's not good. Why did I let that resolve?" So now we got a couple of prowess monks,
He's got a top, so you can do some shenanigans with that.
couple of Josh monks going in for battles.
Always. I get made. There's a lot of me. I'm doing commentary. I'm on the table.
Yep.
What can I do? I'm in chat a little bit.
Do you play this deck? Do you happen to play Miracles? And
I do. I have.
Oh,
I'm really sad though because Jacob Wilson won an SCG Invitational before me and got a monk token made.
that's what we got to do. We got to make sure that the Legacy 1Ks get big enough where we can start doing tokens for it.
Yes.
And get Card Kingdom to make some sweet tokens, and then you can win the first Legacy 1K.
I would
with
like to
tokens.
make a Josh Monk token. That's
Yeah.
just what it's called. It's just Josh Monks.
the
Creature
one
type Josh Monks. And it looks like they went to a draw, so that is another draw with Miracles in the books.
The one that I'm not 100% sure about with the various tokens that have gone out. Has there been a non-flying token that has been made throughout the Star Cities?
There was a Germ token made.
I can see. Okay.
There was a Monk token made.
Yeah.
There was the Infect token that Tom Ross made.
Yeah. I feel like the
Elemental token. Cedric's on a couple. Chris Van Meter's on a couple.
Yeah.
Young cards.
I feel like the legit one is the 1/1 non-flying spirit that you can get all the vintage props from.
Oh,
that's,
yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
good
From
one.
Forbidden Orchard, the only card that makes that.
Yeah.
So that was round 3 in the books here at Card Kingdom's Legacy 1K Preservation Series. We
Yep.
just hit time. All the matches are done. We're going to go down for just a second while we get round 4 set up, get that feature mat set up, and we will be live in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right.